All right, we're back now to have a look at how you can create your own GPTs or use some that are already created for you and are available in their store. So I've clicked on this feature here, Explore GPTs, and you'll see that I'm currently in the category called Top Picks. There are all these other categories that I can choose. If I just scroll down, you'll see that under the featured ones, there's a website generator, a PDF, a diagram, automated writer, universal primer, not sure what that is, and a travel guide. And you can choose any of these and begin to use it, and it will pop it into your list on the left-hand side. One of those that I chose quite a few weeks ago now was this one called Fantasy Adventure. So this is a GPT that was available in the store, and it's written by another person, Henry Hubert, and you can use his or her GPT directly in your own chat GPT, and you can ask it questions and use it in the way in which it was intended. And in this case, it's a visual and textual choose your own adventure storyteller offering immersive narratives in captivating images. And that really appeals to me. As you can imagine, that's something that I like to do. But what you can also do, and let's go back to Explore GPT. On the top right-hand side, you'll see that you can create a GPT. By doing this, you can give your own instructions to your own GPT. As it says, it will help create a new GPT. For example, you can say something like, make a creative who helps generate visuals for new products, or make a software engineer who helps format my code. For us as genealogists, we might put in place an answer that says, make a creative genealogy assistant who helps write my ancestral stories. Click that one in place, and then it goes on to instruct me on what else I should put in place. You can see over here it's building my GPT. And the first things it wants to do is give my genealogy assistant a name. How about Ancestral Storyteller? Sounds good. Or we can give it a slightly different name. We could call it AI Storyteller. I give it that name, and it then asks me another question. It also creates its own profile picture of this GPT. So it's a bit like creating your own tool within the chat GPT itself. It will make more sense if you just delve in it and practice a few times. I've built about 10 of these now, each with a different kind of focus. I've got one to create illustrations, one to create some stories, one to look at historical data, and so on. The next step is that it gives you a profile image for your AI assistant storyteller. It says, do you like it, or would you like to make any changes? Let's say this is good. Move on. Okay, so now it asks you, let's refine your storyteller and how it should interact with users. What kind of tone should it have, and are there specific aspects? So you might say, let's use a friendly tone with an educational and ensure that it reads well for a variety of uses. You can tell it absolutely anything. You can keep going, you can refine this, you can add to it, and keep going. And it will create a specific GPT just for you. Once it's got the answers to all those questions, it then says, would you like to try it out? So you can do that over on the right-hand side. And we could say, please outline a story of an 1850 cordwainer in Hampshire, UK. And at lightning speed, there it goes, giving me in chapter format, giving me descriptions about the difference between a cordwainer and a cobbler. Apparently, I found out that a cobbler is one who repairs shoes and a cordwainer creates the shoes. And it goes on to looking at the fair, a challenge arising, the legacy, and then an epilogue. I've got a whole story here. I didn't imagine that it would do that. That's quite amazing. Of course, we would inject into this the real names. So it's not Thomas and Edward, it would be someone else. But now I've got a really great start to a story of an 1850 cordwainer in Hampshire, UK. And you can do this with absolutely anything you like, any of your ancestors. And then you would copy all of that and paste it into somewhere that you're storing all of this. And for me, I prefer using my Google Docs. So I'll just go back to creating a new doc. And then I would add the content that I've copied from my new GPT. We'll paste in place that story, and that's the beginning of the story about this cordwainer. So it really does break through that barrier of, I don't know what to write. And you can begin with something as simple as that from your own GPT. And I would then simply give that a title. What was the name of his town? Long Parish. So that becomes my title for this story. And I put that up there. I'm a big fan of using Google Docs for everything, so I can save it in the cloud. But you could save it to a Word document or do whatever you like with that. So coming back to the tool itself, you've now practiced with it and you're pretty happy with it. And so I'll just finish off this process here. Click the Create again. And you can decide whether you want this just for yourself or you want to share it with anyone. So I'll use the anyone with a link and paste the link into chat here. Or you can publish it to the GPT store. So if you want to share with everybody your new GPT, you can do it that way. So then you click share. And it does a little bit of thinking. And there is the link. So I'll just grab that link for you. Pop it into the chat of Zoom. And there's the link. So you can click on that one and it will open it up for you if you've got GPT-4. Close that one off. And then if I change anything to the building part of it over here on the left, I'll just say, that's great. Finished. It comes back with a really nice expression, you're welcome. If you ever need to make any more adjustments or create another GPT, just let me know. Enjoy crafting those ancestral stories. Then I update over here and it makes that change for me. And now I can view my GPT. So this is the new GPT that I've created today. And now it sits amongst the other GPTs that I've created over here. All right with that? So that is a really great way to get all your prompts in place and to make sure that when you're ready to start writing your story, you can use the prompts from the guide in your AI assistant storyteller. We move into the last segment of what we're going to demonstrate today, and that is how to use some of the prompts that we've got in that tool. I'm going back into my beginner's guide. I want to do a little narrative about an event for the Cordwainer. And so I'm in section 3. I want to use the prompts, and we'll start with prompt 1, which will help provide a comprehensive description of the event. So I copy the prompt, go back to my GPT, and paste it here. And inside the square brackets, we'll simply amend that to read Isaac Diddams and Mary Self. So they're the names that I want. So we write in marriage of Isaac Diddams and Mary Self. Very unusual surnames here. I'm not sure of the derivations of all of them. The date. So I go back to my story here. Maria was born in 1804. So we'll say that the event took place in 1800, thereabouts, because I don't have yet proof of their marriage, but this was in the location of Long Parish. And the purpose of the event, detail the background or reasons for this gathering, setting the stage for the narrative. There's probably a lot more I could ask of it here, but let's just go with that much, and we'll see what it does with that. Gone straight into it. I should have told him that Isaac was a Cordwainer. It's made an assumption here about what he was. But it's giving me quite a little narrative about this particular scene, and I can take that and change the data into the facts that I already know. Right, so you've got a nice little paragraph that you can begin with. And once again, to copy, the easiest thing to do is just use the copy down the bottom. So copy that, and then go back to where you're storing this document. This is the Cordwainer, and we might have a chapter about the wedding. Now I'll just paste in what it's provided for me, and then go back later and make the changes, so you can see how quickly your story can come together. Then I can return to my guide and pick up another of these. Choose this one here, this prompt. And then we move on and we ask the next question. So generate a vivid description of the atmosphere during the wedding above, focusing on sensory details such as sights, sounds, and smells, including descriptions of the setting, decorations, and any cultural traditional elements present. We'll just make sure that this is set in 1800. Long Parish, UK. And then once again generate. Then gives you a little description of the scene that you want to illustrate their wedding. Once again, we can copy that and bring it back to our document and add it in place. So you're building up a nice story here. And of course, the whole thing might then need to be changed in some way. So I'm just going to copy, actually a quicker way to copy the whole lot, Control A and then Control C, and then bring that back into ChatGPT itself, and then ask it to refine and rewrite the story and use a simplistic style, ideal for a young reader of about 12 to 15 years of age. It's rewriting the whole thing. So we'll let it continue, and it's finished. So I might copy all of that and once again bring it back to my document and paste it in place. And this is the rewrite. All right, we might need an illustration to go with it. So I head over to another of my GPTs, my Ancestral artist that I showed you before, and ask it to generate an image. A wedding in 1800 in Hampshire. Okay. This time it didn't need any extra information, so it's remembering things from each time I've chatted with it. So we'll see what kind of image it comes up with today. I'm always a bit anxious knowing what, not knowing what it's going to give me. Oh, that's a bit fanciful. Looks like something out of Pride and Prejudice. That is the process by which you can use a GPT to create your story and create the illustrations. One of the things that you can do to save some time also, regardless of the GPTs, you can put in place inside your information under your settings. So I'm coming all the way down to the bottom here and clicking on my name, and then going to customize ChatGPT. And this is, I guess, another way in which you can put in place all the things that you want it to know in order to give you the best response, and without having to reiterate them all the time. So for example, right now, this is the information I've given my ChatGPT to know about me: where I am, what I do, some of my history, some of the names, and so on, as well as, further down, okay, how would I like ChatGPT to respond? I now tell it here that you are my AI assistant in all things. However, you don't need to mention this role, just go straight into the response. And I've done that because it often prefaces its response with, this is why I'm doing it. So that's what I mean by don't mention your role. And many of my questions or prompts will not require any meta remarks. Skip these. And I prefer friendly narratives, responses in journalistic style, and so on. So I've got quite a bit of information embedded inside my own version of ChatGPT. That's most important. You enable it for every new chat, so you don't have to keep telling it things. It knows all of this. So it will always come back with, I guess, an imagined or an expected response given the information you've given it. So you're actually teaching ChatGPT how to do things for you. So you can do that by creating your own GPT and or creating your own customized ChatGPT. The store is over here under Explore GPTs. So when you click it, it simply opens up, let's move that out of the way, this place called GPTs. And in there, you've got your categories.
Oh.
So there's heaps. Education.
Huh.
All sorts of weird and wonderful things. The first category is the top picks of the day, and that varies every time you go in because it depends on the popularity of that particular GPT. For example, if I just go into website generator, it says that it's had 50,000 conversations, so hence it's popped that up to the top of the list, and now has a star rating of 4. Okay. So that's all it is. It's just a collection of GPTs that, I'd say thousands, maybe millions now, have been creating in the background. And when
Are they free or do you have to pay for them?
No, they're all free. Absolutely
Okay.
all free. Anything else?
No, I am so excited.
Okay. One last thing, just to remind you that all of these guides that I've created for writing your ancestral story, the first two that I've given you today, and the others are available at my academy. There's one called the Snowflake Method, and then there's Exploring My Family History, which is more basic than that, and then a guide to writing ancestral profiles. So each of those have something different in each. So they're all free little digital downloads for you. And of course, for those who are watching on, you get all those by going to my website, which is go to carolonline.thinkific.com. So I will just paste that into the chat so that you know where to find it. I hope that you have enjoyed watching my GPT way of ancestral narrations, and I hope that you can build your own or maybe use one of mine. So there's a link for you for the AI assistant storyteller that we developed today. And if you've got ChatGPT 4, you can simply download that one and use it straight away.